Well, now I've gone and done it. Why do I have to keep messing with stuff? Why can't I just leave it alone? Yep, here we are. More stuff disassembled. Here's what's going on. So, I just could not really deal very well with this inferior wheezing smoke unit that didn't do much. I mean, at high speeds, I could tell it was making compression, but there was still no chuff. And so I thought, well, maybe I can just pull this piston out and replace it with a flyer one. Well, close but no cigar. The flyer ones are just a little bit bigger, and I still didn't know if the flyer one would actually be an improvement. So I thought, you know what? I do have this smoke unit for my one of my engine projects that I'm rebuilding. And I did some rough measurements, and again, no surprise because this is based on AC Gilbert stuff, but this smoke unit would fit. It'll fit, and I don't know that I'll run into any problems. Famous last words. But this, I tell you what, this thing is really screwy. So I had to take out, I don't know, see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 screws just to get this plate off, just so I could get to this last screw that held the back of the smoke unit on, because it was covered up under here, which has all the pickups for the drive wheels and everything else. So, yeah, I've really gotten into the guts of this thing, but it gives me a chance to inspect things, clean things, that kind of thing. So that's good. That's good. But yeah, I got to do this right, I think, because this smoke unit I don't like, choo-choo unit I don't like, and so why not do something about it? So that's what I'm going to do. So the next thing I'm going to do is rebuild this smoke unit. I hope, oh boy, I hope I have the plates. I'll have to see if the plates. Now this project may be on hold real quick if I don't have the top and bottom plates for this thing. I'll have to look. Okay, be back with an update. Howdy friends, I'm working on getting this old smoke unit refurbished with a new wick and get it into this Lionel made Northern. And like probably a lot of you, I have just stuff that's just, who knows for sure where it's come from. Most of it's, you know, been in a package for a long time. Somebody bought, intended for a project, and one thing led to another and it didn't get used. So here I had a smoke wick that's got the nichrome around it by this company here. I know nothing about this company, and I'm not here to judge this company, but if you're doing smoke units and you're purchasing pre-wrapped smoke units from somebody that you don't know personally or you haven't had experience with, and then I would recommend that you have a meter, because I checked this wrap as it came in the package and it was almost 60. Okay, so a resistance of 60 means that it's going to have to be reduced in length, because we want to get into the vicinity of the mid 30s according to Tom Barker, and I like his recommendations. Those of you that have a decent smeller on your face, I'm one of those. You can tell if smoke is got a pleasant aroma or if it's burned, and especially if you do fragranted smoke like I like the cedar smell. If I have a smoke unit, either the one I've done or one I'm repairing or whatever, and it's got a real, burned or hot smell to it, that's always indicative of a nichrome wire that's getting too hot. Now, there are, obviously, I'm talking, making broad strokes here. There are circumstances where you've got a really free running engine, and so it makes sense to have a hotter nichrome wire because it's not going to be running at higher speeds or whatever. Now, in the case of this engine, we've got a CAN motor, okay, and so the CAN motor is not going to take very many amps or very many volts to get moving, And so I'm probably going to make this one closer to the high 20s or around 30, just because this isn't a traditional flyer engine. With a traditional flyer engine, you're looking at, usually 1.5 plus amps to get that engine going, and also a higher voltage, usually 10, 11. And so that means at 11, 12, it's nice to have some smoke happening. And again, the 35-ish range, 32, 35, seems to be a really nice balance. You get a little bit of smoke at slow speeds, a decent amount at medium speeds, and you don't get the burn smell even at high speeds. So anyhow, to each his own, but I really like Tom Barker's guidelines. And this is an exception because we've got a can motor, so I'm gonna shorten it up a little bit more than you normally would. But point is, you want to check your windings, you want to check the resistance through it, and my recommendation would be 32 to 35. Thanks. Okay, so I have everything wired up. You can see the nichrome wire sticking up through. Now what I prefer to do is wait to solder these in until I have my feeder wires from the track, because my practice is solder everything once, because the nichrome wires, I like to wrap them around where the feeder wires go, and then also have the feeder wire there, and just apply heat and solder one time. Because I've had some times where I've done the nichrome wires first, and then when I go to put the feeder wires on and I've heated everything, sometimes the nichrome wires will come off, and they're a little finicky. Like you really have to make sure you wrap them a couple times to make sure there's good conductivity, and they're super fine, as maybe you can tell, and so that makes them a little hard to see, and they can come loose and all that. So that's just a practice that I do. Now here's something that I just find fascinating. So this is the base of the other smoke unit that came with the engine. This is the top with the resistor that Lionel uses. Okay, now here's a 19, now this is an earlier one, so let's just say somewhere between 1948 and probably, I don't know, 55, 54 is a best guess. Okay. And look at that. Fits perfectly into the screw holes that are here from a 2016 released Lionel Northern. So I just think that's super cool. Now, the screw threads, I don't think they're going to work. I'm going to try them one more time. I kind of initially tried it, and I think they're a little bit finer than what American Flyer used. But no worries. I mean, I can use American Flyer screws, and that will still work. Okay, the other thing I thought was worth noting is I mentioned how the drive wheels pick up the continuity from the rails. This is something that Flyer did. Let's see how well I can pick this up. I'll zoom in. So there you go. That tab then is facing down, and every wheel has one of those tabs facing down, and I've got this turned upside down here, so I'll have to spin that around, but when they're loose they can just kind of go wherever. But then these brackets fit here in the chassis, and then let's get over here, and then this fits up underneath, and so you can see where the wheel sets go, and then that's where they make contact with these copper strips and provide power to the locomotive. So it's kind of neat because this is pretty much identical to what they did on that 060 saddle tank, although obviously it's a lot larger, but kind of neat. And then as you probably have already noticed, there's no insulator on these wheels. They're all metal, but they would have insulators around the hub, around the axle on each side. So that gives them the opportunity now to use, solid metal wheels, no white insulator like we're used to seeing with American Flyer. Just some interesting things I thought I'd mention while I've got everything apart. Okay, welcome back. I'm inviting you to join me now for some experiments. At this point, I did some laps around the layout with the engine as you see here. Then I put the shell on, did some more laps, and it did seem to improve some of the conduction that was happening over the rails to have a little more weight on it. But I've still come to a couple conclusions that I'll share with you here in just a second. One of the things I noticed with the shell being on and the train being towed is that I actually saw some better smoke production at lower speeds. And I just wanted to show this little experiment to you. So I'm going to move the transformer here. This is 15B. I'm going to take it up to 30. Okay, now at 30, I tell you what, I'm going to take it up a little higher than that just to get the heating happening in the smoke unit so we get some smoke. Oh, it's just pretty light. There we go. Okay. All right, now I'm going to back it down to 30. Okay, now if you kind of look here in the darker area, you can see there's some smoke. Now I'm going to just put my finger on one of the dry wheels and slow it down, as if it's pulling a train. And it's kind of interesting because, I don't know how well you can see it. I'm seeing it better with my naked eye. The smoke stays the same, but it's not being pushed quite so hard, so it stays a little more condensed, and you can actually see it a little better lower above the engine, although it's not, camera's not picking it up. But okay, let's go up here to mid-range. See, the smoke output is here. Not too bad. And then let's go up to full range. And that's pretty healthy. Okay. So yeah, you're saying, Austin, whatever. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the on-off switch for the smoke unit, which is back here underneath the motor. Turn that to off. There we go. And now I'm going to go ahead and put these alligator clips on the rails, which are going to directly power the smoke unit to the track. Now I'm going to go ahead and give this thing some power. Okay, and right away you can see I've got the throttle basically as slow as it'll go, and you can see smoke. Okay, and this is with no load. Now if we go back up to 30 again, that's pretty strong. Let me see. I'm going to smell it and see if it smells burnt. Yeah, it smells burnt. So basically what's going on here is at 30 miles per hour on the transformer, this nichrome wire at 28 ohms is getting so hot that it's starting to fry the angel hair and burn the smoke, actually burn the oil. So it gives it a kind of an acidic, gross smell. I have some really nice cedar scented smoke in here. You can't smell any cedar. You just smell just scorched earth kind of thing. So my point for showing you all this is there are different ways you can set up smoke units. Sometimes I hear about people, putting in super smokers and whatnot. And I'm not here to badmouth anyone, so don't take it that way. But I'm just saying, if you shorten up your heating element so that it gets hot more quickly, you're going to get more smoke. And it's, if you want smoke like this, let's take it up to full speed. Real quick, again, that's just starting. And you can see, right away we have a huge plume of smoke. And to run a system very long like that, you're gonna run the risk of burning it out, is one of the realities. So You know, AC Gilbert and his team, when they put units together, they kind of were real light at low speeds, kind of medium at mid speeds, and heavy at fast speeds. They did that because that smoke unit was going to last. Food for thought. Now the reality is, you could take the nichrome wire back off of here, put another one on, make it a little bit longer, maybe 32 ohms. That would, give it a little bit more resistance, and you wouldn't, get it quite as much smoke, but then you wouldn't run the risk of burning it out. But all that to say, I'm going to leave this one hooked up as it was to the Lionel unit, and having light smoke like that's going to be fine. And if I have a heavy train on this thing and I give it the beans, then it's going to smoke a lot harder because it's going to be under load and it's going to be getting more amps to the smoke unit, and away we go. So just thought you might find that interesting. Well, here we are with a little bit of some skin on the engine, and checking it out in low speed operation. I'm surprised at what's going on with the smoke unit, because on the bench it didn't smoke like this. It smoked a lot less than this. So yeah, I'm surprised. I don't quite understand why it is doing what it's doing. But here's what I've done. I put a new LED headlight in front, replacing a little grain of wheat light bulb. I also put an LED in the cab, inside the cab of the engine, that runs all the time. The old one only went in reverse, and this one lights all the time, but it's pretty hard to see. I suppose if I turn the lights off, it'd be better. I also put a two-wire plug between the engine and tender, where I'm doing electrical pickup from the front truck of the tender and coupling that to the engine and vice versa. Because now what that does is that gives me basically the front two wheels of the engine, the rear trailing wheels of the engine, and the 6 wheels in the tender to pick up power both directions. Now the thing that's puzzling me a little bit is the smoke unit is hooked up to I'm assuming it was some sort of a current reduction device that was already packaged inside the engine. I didn't change any of that. And on the bench, it didn't smoke very much. So let me just try unhooking these cars. Let's put it without a load and see if that changes the smoke at all. Not really. Well, to be honest with you, I really didn't want it to smoke quite that heavy because it's too much.